Most golfers think they need more reps, more range balls, more YouTube tip, more swing thoughts. But the truth, most golfers don't have an effort problem. You have a system problem. Today, I'm going to talk to you about why golfers stay stuck for years and how to finally fix it. So, why does your hard work fail? Do you do things like practice random clubs when you're at the range? If not, which you probably don't, most people will go, they'll warm up a little bit. They start hitting the driver, 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 driver. We all know the deal. Here's a problem with that. How many times do you hit a driver out on the course? You hit it maybe 14 times. 18 holes, figure four par threes. You probably aren't using your driver on that unless you're just starting up or if you really don't hit long. So 14 holes. Now, some of them are par fives. Are you using your driver on all of them or maybe a 3 wood, 5 wood hybrid because you'll stay safe? So realistically, maximum 14 times per hole, you're using that club, but it's cool to hit that at the range because you can hit it further. It looks cool. It sounds better. That is hurting you. That is going to keep your scores from coming down. What you need to do is use random clubs. What I like to do, I like practicing at the range and going from one club to the next as if I'm actually on the course. Now, that's after I warm up. I always warm up with my 7 iron. I'm most comfortable with it. It helps get me loose. And then I go from there. But I hit different clubs. The range doesn't transfer to the course. No, it doesn't, but it can. So, what you can do, pick a target, make sure that you're going through and you're lining up and you're going through your pre shot. If you just sit there and say, oh, I'm going to hit out towards that pole. Okay, well, 10, 20, 30 yards off that pole doesn't look bad at the range. Then you get to the course and you hit the same shot. And guess what? It's off in the woods. That's because you're not setting up at the range like you would on a course. It's because you're not actually picking a target. And you're not really getting the full grasp of what's going on. So, what can you do? Like I said before, pretend you're actually at a course. Pick your target. I've got the Rapsodo MLM2 Pro. I can actually take it with me and play any course basically in the world, but hit a driver, see where it goes. Okay, if that was a 250-yard shot, this is a 400-yard par four. That means I have 150 in. So I'm taking my 7 iron. If I hit that and based on my target, I'm 30 yards off. I'm then going to take my 60 degree and do a 30-yard chip. And that really helps. Now, another thing that I've noticed, chasing swing fixes weekly. You're watching me on YouTube, I get that, but there's so many different people out there. And this is why I don't talk a lot about swing fixes. There's so many people that try to change everything about your swing. Your swing, yes, it matters. Yes, you need good mechanics, but different people swing different ways. Not every swing is going to be perfect. Not every swing is going to be perfect for you. I'm 5'8". People who are 6'4" might have a different swing. You need to focus on the initial mechanics, your setup, and going through. You don't need to tweak it every single week. If you're worried about a draw bias versus a fade, stop. Focus on good contact. Get your stance, get your swing, focus on that contact because contact is going to do more for you. If you want to have a draw, great, but you don't need to have a draw. I play a 10-yard fade most of the time. You know what? A fade's perfectly fine. Sure, a draw might roll out a little bit more, which, whatever. I know where my clubs are going to go with that little draw. Now, with my irons, I do tend to draw it a little bit more than with woods. Woods, I have a fade, irons draw, but I know that about myself, so I can play that. And realistically, a 10-yard fade is still putting you on the fairway unless you're playing some crazy course. So don't worry so much about changing your swing every single week. You don't need to do that. What you need to do is get consistency. If you have a problem, work on that. Work through that. Fix that. Don't try to change your stance and your grip and your swing and going from out to in to in to out. You can't do it all at once. And something else to remember, when you change your swing, it's going to take you time to get used to it. What you need to think about is when you start changing anything in life, you have to get used to it. So your scores may actually get a little bit worse to start off with. After After you get used to it over time, it will get better, hopefully. But, don't change 20 things at once. And also, no distance confidence. I call it distance profile. So I know generally where my clubs are going on any given day. And I've struggled with it in the past. I would have been a much better golfer in high school if I focused on this more. Knowing your club gapping, knowing your distance profile for your whole bag will change your game. Once you get that confidence in your contact down, knowing that my 7 iron will go 145 to 155 basically every time, unless I really shank it or skull it. From there, I can go down, I can go up. If there's a driving range at a course, I'll hit some balls, I won't hit a ton, just to get a feel of how I'm hitting that day. Because I know if I'm only hitting my 7 140 or hitting it 160, my whole bag is going to adjust depending on what my body's doing that day. So that's something you need to learn. More so than constantly changing your swing, learn your clubs, learn your bag, learn your swing. Without that kind of stuff, your score is never going to change. You need to focus on the important things as opposed to things that you can't necessarily fix or things you can't fix all at once. Not all of this is going to work right away. So focus on some of those things. And you're basically what you're doing is you're trying to win with disconnected pieces. You need to put all the dots together, connect the dots like we did when we were kids, and your game will get much, much better. What part of your game is silently costing you the most shots? I know with me back in the day, it was my driver. When I was in high school, I could not hit the driver. Did I try to? Yes, I still tried to. It was very, very dumb. My wedges were always pretty good. I now am even better with my wedges. I have the distances locked down. I was a good putter. But realistically, if you're off in the woods on a driver shot, that can add easily 14 shots to your round because you're in the woods, you have to punch back out. Wedges, if you can't chip from close to the green, and you're blowing past the hole. I look at my first wedge shot as my first putt. If you are chipping on and far enough away that you're still 2 or 3 putting, that's not a good thing. So, focus on things like that. And over 150 yards, you have no confidence? Okay, then we need to work on some stuff. I get it. It's something that over time you'll learn. But when you become more comfortable with the clubs, that's when you do that. When I know my 7's gonna go around 150. Now, if I have a bad day, maybe not. But I know that. I know that as I get closer to the green, I get more consistent with where I'm hitting the ball. I have less side to side, less dispersion. Every golfer has hidden power leaks. These are the things I'm trying to teach through this series. We've got 2 episodes out already. There's another one coming this Friday. It's finding those power leaks, whether it's your stance, whether it's your brain, that is the biggest one, or whether it's the mental game and just poor course planning. It's things like that you need to think about. So we're going to talk about the distance trust gap, which we've brought up a little bit before. You might hit it fine on the range, but under pressure, you don't trust carry numbers, club choice, strike quality. The gaps you get are destroying your scoring. If you're expecting to hit a 7 iron 150, and sometimes you hit it 165, sometimes you hit it 135, that's a distance trust gap. You can't trust that. That's 30 yards difference. With club gapping, 10 yards, 15 maybe, that's what I aim for. I know 145 to 155, but if you have 30 yards, that means if you're anywhere from 130 to 160 off the green, maybe it's a 7 iron. If I'm 130, I know that I'm hitting my pitching wedge. If I'm 160, I'm probably going with my 7 iron. Now, 7 iron might get just to the front edge of the green, so it also depends what's in front of it. But fixing the distance trust gap is what our goal is here. We want to get rid of that gap. We want to have a consistent distance profile through our whole bag, which brings us to the full bag framework. It's our program that we're putting together. It's out here. It's going to grow and grow over time. The full bag framework is the real fix for it that I've found. It identifies power leaks, builds your distance profile through the whole bag, removes the distance trust gap that is killing you, and it trains the entire bag as a system so that you know what to do from your first tee shot to your last putt. So that you know what to do when you go out to the range or out to your garage. Like I've got my garage set up with my Repsoda MLM2 Pro. I've got my home sim. You can get one too. You can go to the links down below. Great tools. But I know what I'm doing whether I'm on the course or at the range. We all have our bad days, but you know what? We can get better with this system. So now drop it down below. We'll talk more about this stuff as we go. Next week with our live, I'm going to answer more of your questions. But what club do you trust the least? What shots cost you rounds? Where do you lose confidence? Those questions are really going to base where we go from here. What our next live is next Monday at 4. So let us know. 2 questions that came in from last week. I can't hit my 5-iron. What do I do? So the biggest thing is, first, it'd be much better if I saw a video of it. So if you want to send me a video of your swing, I'll take a look at it and we'll figure it out. But a lot of times what I've found when I go from my higher irons to the lower, well, when I go from my 9, that's easier for me to hit down to my 5 and my 4. I've had problems because I'm just not used to it. I don't hit it as much. It's less loft. When I started compressing the ball more, coming down, you want to hit the ball, then the ground. Your divot should be after the ball. That gets the ball up in the air. Most of the time with 3, 4, 5 irons, your problem is going to be that you're not compressing. You're trying to swoop up at it more like with a driver. If you do that, you're going to have an issue because you're not getting that speed. You're not getting the power onto it. So what I would do is either videotape it if you know somebody with a Rapsodo or some kind of camera-based launch monitor that can do impact vision. Check to see where your impact is on the ball on the ground. Or even you can do the tape drill. Put a piece of tape down wherever you're hitting. The ball goes right in front of the tape. You want to hit ball without the tape. That'll tell you if you're compressing. If you are, then it might be something else. It could be your swing, could be a lot of different things. Bad grip. You could be coming up. You could be sculling it. But try those couple things first and we'll see where it goes. Next question. I get too nervous on the course. How do I fix it? So I used to do this all the time. First hole was always my worst. It would probably be a double bogey most of the time. And just let it go. When you're out on the range, when you're practicing, that's where you work on things. Once you're on the course, you need to just do what your body knows how to do. I generally have a song like Take Me Home Country Roads playing in my head, more or less from the time I get to the first tee till I'm done. Now, I'm thinking as I'm going on the course, finding my ball, looking at the shot, but at least when I'm setting up to the ball, I have a song in my head. And what that does, it makes me not think of anything else. I'm not thinking about keeping the V in my arms. I'm not thinking about coming up on the ball with the driver, going down with the irons. That kind of stuff isn't going to help you. When you're on the course, you need to take a deep breath and just let it go. Don't worry about it. If you screw up, don't start tweaking a million different things because it's going to get worse. Practice is at the range or in a sim. The course, yeah, you practice course strategy, different things like that, which is hugely important. But when you're at the course, just play the game. You know what to do. If you're on a golf course, you should already know how to swing. Be smart, make good decisions, and don't worry about it. Just have fun. So Friday's video that I'm releasing, it's the first full training on all this. It's going to help you build your full bag framework in about 10 minutes. It's not going to be crazy long. Over time, we're going to put things together that are going to help you get better. Don't miss it. Until then, you can check out the first 2 parts of this series on fixing your golf game. Part 1's going to be popping up now. Go watch that next because that's where the system starts. And comment questions down below. We'll work on answering them next Monday on our live around 4 p.m. Remember, our goal is to help you in 2026 so that we can all play better, have more fun, and love the game again. See you next time.